Hey y'all, insight number 4, we're in chapter 29. Promise I'm going to try and keep these ones shorter. Talking too much. Okay, so this talks about how many of the Gentiles will reject the Book of Mormon, and they'll say, look, we don't need another Bible. In fact, the Jews will do the same thing and be like, why don't we know? But there's a good portion of the world in which will go, yes, we've been waiting for this. And that's still happening, and we see that. Okay, what I love the most about this, if you take nothing else from Come Follow Me this week, look at verses 1 and 2 of chapter 29, because this is my go-to for when I'm feeling downtrodden and that I haven't been answered and that things aren't working for me. I go here. So let's read this. It says, but behold, there shall be many at that day when I shall proceed to do a marvelous work among them. Remember, the marvelous work is all the things of the restoration of the gospel, the service that we do that's done for us, all those things. Okay, all of that. So this is Christ. I'm going to do marvelous work among them, that I may remember my covenants which I have made unto the children of men. Christ has covenanted to look after us and remember us. And he did that with Abraham. Go back to the Old Testament. It's awesome. That I may set my hand again the second time to recover my people which are of the house of Israel. He will come to pick us up and find us and bring us home, every single one of us individually. In verse 2, and also that I may remember the promises which I have made unto thee, Nephi. Oh, he promised with Nephi too. And also unto thy father, that I would remember your seed, and that the words of your seed should proceed forth out of my mouth unto your seed, and my words shall hiss forth unto the ends of the earth, for a standard unto my people which are of the house of Israel. So his children. Now you think, well, they're all wiped out. Yes, but some left and were never heard from again. Some still exist. Okay, so the Nephite people living as a Nephite people eventually got wiped out. But some of them will still exist. And what about Nephi's ancestors and all the people that came from them? That's the literal house of Israel. That's me. I'm literally one of them. I bet a lot of you are too. Or you're adopted into. And you know what? That's just as good. That's fine. That's all of us. You try and find someone that's not adopted into or a literal descendant of. You're not gonna. That's all of us. He covenanted. Jesus covenanted with us to look after us. But the biggest part of all of this, and if you go back to Abraham and you have a look at it, usually when they'd make it down, now this is when Abraham had to gather all these animals and cut them in half and lay them out, which sounds just horribly disgusting to us in this day, was quite the common practice then. It was what was done. It was how they did it. So put that part aside. And he was told to wait. Now, usually in this agreement, both parties who did this would walk through the middle of them. And I believe, from my study, that if you walked through them, you covenant what you do to walk through them. And if you broke that covenant, it was like instant death. You were done for. And you're going to end up in two pieces because you can't serve two masters. You can't be in two schools of thought. You either keep your promise or you don't. Remember, these are very black and white rules back then, and laws and commandments that they were given very much because they weren't as educated. They weren't, and not that they weren't smart, they just didn't have those opportunities. And the way the world become now is different, where they're still very clear on the this and this, but we're also learning about all the nuances in between and the allowances and grace that God gives us. And I think that's beautiful too. But back in that day, you bury that. So anyway, if you remember, Abraham never walked through them. Christ did. Christ came and he walked through. And that was, the covenant was made. So we don't actually get held accountable for the mistakes that we make, other than like we get repentance. Like, I'm not explaining it very well. So we are accountable for the mistakes we make, but it's not going to go to that death situation or that cast out forever situation because of the atonement of Jesus Christ. So yes, we're accountable to Christ for the sins that we did because he paid the debt on our behalf. So we're accountable to him as our debtor. But the best part is he covenanted to look after us, to find us, to care for us, to bring us home, to fill in those gaps so that we don't have to do like the perfection on this earth, because it's impossible. It's impossible, and he knew that. So, again, I'm probably not explaining it the best, but have a look at that. The important thing is he covenanted with us. The things that he promised Abraham, they apply to us. The things that we don't know exactly what he promised Nephi, but they apply to us. And there's, guarantee you, things that he promised other prophets, other seers, revelators, the current prophet, seer, and revelator, that apply to us. And Jesus covenanted to keep those things with us, knowing that we could not sign the contract to covenant the same back. So it's not a two-way deal, it is a one-way deal that benefits us greatly. So keep that in mind, you are not forgotten. Now, so I also asked a question here. He promised things to Nephi. He does this directly with us also. Is there some things that he has promised to you directly, that he's covenanted in a way or promised you directly? There is some for me. I can't talk about them, but I know what they are. And this reminds me, these two scriptures, 29, 1 and 2, remind me, not only am I entitled to the promises that he gave Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, I'm also entitled to the promises he gave Nephi and Moroni and Mormon and Joseph Smith and Russell M. Nelson and all of it. And that's incredible. That is mind-blowingly incredible. And I'm so grateful. So there you go. If you get nothing else out of Come Follow Me this week, again, go back and look at the Abrahamic covenant and how it came apart, because that will explain it more. But Christ covenanted. And he probably even covenanted in the pre-existence somehow that we don't know about, something more than that. And it's just like, we get to find out. And I think that's incredible. But anyway, so the rest of the whole, like, why another Bible, that was brought up in 28, like, why do we need another Book of Mormon? It says briefly here, why do we need another Bible? And 30 actually gives you, I said 29 did, but 29 really talks about why do we need another Bible? We don't need it. We don't read the one we've got. Like, so yeah. Chapter 30 is the reason why we have it. How we have the Book of Mormon. Now, verse 9, you haven't seen promises fulfilled yet. Now, this is good, because this actually does happen. So it says, and I do this that I may prove unto many that I am the same yesterday, today, and forever, and that I speak forth my words according to mine own pleasure. And because that I have spoken one word, ye need not suppose that I cannot speak another. For my work is not yet finished, neither shall it be until the end of man, neither from that time henceforth and forever. So I'm going to say to you, if you've got promises that haven't been fulfilled yet, wait, because the Lord's still working. So you're thinking, oh, but he promised that and it hasn't happened yet. Wait, he's still working. He's promised me stuff. Like when I was little, I remember it. I know he promised me that. It hasn't happened yet. Some of it has. Most of it has, actually. Still a couple of things that are like, no. But I'm like, wait. He hasn't finished working. He hasn't finished working in me to help me become who I want to be or need to be. And he hasn't finished with us. He's still helping us become. So wait, he's still working. We're unfinished projects. This whole thing's an unfinished project. And we're just doing our own little parts. It's never going to be quite finished until, when? The end of man. And he decides that. So, that. Jesus is still working. So think celestial. Yes, very good advice. And how do you know that Jesus remembers you? How do you know this? Because he says through here, I have not forgotten my people. Verse 5, he says it. Verse 7, he talks, I remember those that are on the isles of the sea. And as I pointed out, that's everyone that didn't grow up in Jerusalem, pretty much. Which is like the majority of the world right now. Back in that time, a good portion of people, but not the majority of the world. But I remember you. I know who you are. I know you by name. And you can talk about all the things you want to. I still know who you are, and I'm still there for you. So how do you know that? How do you know that Jesus remembers you? It's the little things for me. It's the little like kind things, the little just nice things that come through. That's how I know he remembers me. There's big things too, and I'm like, but it's the little things for me. So anyway, think about those things. I know I probably did not explain the Abrahamic covenant very well, and I apologize for that, but just focus on that Jesus covenanted to look after us, to take care of us, to rescue us, to do all those things that he is doing. He's promised that. I think it's pretty cool. And not just for me. Although I like to think about it as like, oh, it's me. Because, that's special. But it's everybody. And I think that's really cool. Because if someone else is hurting, I can also be like, you know what? He's going to rescue them too. And I love that. I'll do my part in it, but he's also going to rescue them. So, yeah. Anyway, hang around for the last one. I'll see you in chapter 30.